Alright, right now we're gonna get into Native American or American Indian or Aboriginal American, whatever you want to roll with. Back whippings, public back whippings for tiger skins, bear skins, wolf skins. Just bring your skins down to South Carolina and trade them in. Or we're gonna beat that ass in the public, is what they were saying. Now, who did they tell that this was the outcome? Let's roll.
South 68% 11:33 p.m. 100 of South Carolina, west part of this province, that every Indian bowman, capable to kill AD 1605. Deer is aforesaid, of the several nations of Indians before named, shall sometime before the 25th day of November, 1006. Indians to 196, and SOE yearly forever, bring into such person bring in skins or persons as shall be appointed by the governor for the time being to of wild beasts. Receive the same, one wolf's skin, or one tiger's skin, or one bear skin, or two cat skins. And if any Indian as aforesaid shall not bring into the receiver as aforesaid, one wolf's skin, or one tiger's skin, or one bear skin, or two cat skins, as aforesaid, the cacique or chiefa of every nation, together with assistance of his captains and those men which have before delivered to the receiver as before by this act appointed, is hereby required and empowered the Indian or Indians SOE neglecting to bring to Charlestown some time before the 25th day of December. 1 are to be 1,696, and SOE yearly forever, and the whipped. Same thereupon his bare back severely whip in sight of the inhabitants of the Sadie town, which whipping shall be instead of that skin which otherwise the Sadie Indian ought to have given to the receiver aforesaid. And all and every of the several nations of Indians before named, which shall neglect or refuse to bring skins as aforesaid appointed, or in lieu thereof to punish by whipping every several neglecting Indian of their respective nations, shall be and is hereby declared to be out of the protection of this government, and shall not designedly receive any benefit thereby. 2. And be it further enacted by the authority aforesaid, that all skins delivered to the receiver aforesaid shall be for the public use of this province, to be disposed of by order of the General Assembly. And that all commissioners appointed to differences and controversies which hereafter may arise between Indian settle and Indian, or Indian and white man, may be speedily, indifferently in controversies equally composed and determined, be it enacted by the authority aforesaid, that the governor or any one member of the council for the time being, shall be and are hereby nominated and appointed commissioners to try and determine all differences and controversies which hereafter may arise between Indian and Indian or Indian and white man, and the guilty Indian to cause to make restitution in civil causes. And the same in criminal causes to cause to be punished at his discretion and according to the merits of the case, life and limb excepted, or the same to jail to send. And the guilty white person in civil causes to cause to make restitution, and in criminal causes the same to jail to commit, and cause to be proceeded against according law. To law, which shall give or any other way which shall dispose of any rum, be applied. 3. And be it further enacted by the authority aforesaid, that every Indians not to person brandy or any sort of spirits to any Indian or Indians whatsoever, and have with liquor. Hitting the southward of Edisto River, to the northward of river, inclusively, or to the westward or northwestward of Edisto River and Congaree River, exclusively, without the limits aforesaid, shall forfeit for every time he shall dispose of any such liquor as aforesaid the sum of 20 pounds, one moiety thereof to him or them that will sue for the same, the other moiety to be paid to the public receiver, to be disposed of by order of the General Assembly. IV. And be it further enacted by the authority aforesaid, that the right public notice honorable the governor the Tim being be and is to be given to hereby humbly requested and desired from time to time and as often as the Indian need shall require, to issue out his orders to the caciques of the several nations for the putting this act into execution. D 1605. Statutes at large. 11:34 p.m. V. And be it further enacted, that all and every Indian who shall bring and deliver to the receiver or receivers as aforesaid, more than one skin Indians to be of any of the beasts aforesaid, shall have and receive from the said receiver owl for surplus for every such bear's skin, tiger's skin, wolf's skin and head brought in green and delivered to any of them appointed to receive the same, 1 pound of good powder and 30 bullets. V. And be it enacted, that the public receiver do pay out of the public treasury all and every such quantities of powder and bullets to the person that paid the same to the Indian that brought in more than one skin and head as aforesaid, whenever he be desired by the party SOE to doe, if the person requiring doe deliver up to him the skin and head for which the same was paid. Receivers of skins to be appointed. 7. And whereas the obliging all Indians to bring their respective skins which by this act they are required to do, to Charlestown, would be thought by them more irksome than the payment itself, be it therefore enacted that the governor for the time being shall be and is hereby desired to appoint such an SOE many persons as he shall think convenient to receive the same that live near the Indians that are to pay. Read 3 times and ratified in open assembly, this 16th day of March, 1695 to 6. John Arkdale, Joseph Blake, Joseph Morton, Stephen Bull, Thomas Carey, John Beresford, James Moore, W.M. HAWETT. Number 129, an ACT for laying an imposition upon skins and fours, for the defense and public use of this country. See number 73. Whereas this part of this province is always in danger, by reason of the want of those necessary defensive means to secure the same from the incursions of pirates and privateers, and more especially at this time, the war still continuing, and the late reports of the great power the French king is designing for these parts. It being therefore highly necessary that some speedy and effectual care be taken herein, and that many other things for the public good of the province are now really wanting, which for want of money or a public fund cannot be effected. 1. Be it therefore enacted by His Excellency, William Earl of Craven, Palatine, and the rest of the true and absolute lords and proprietors of this province, by and with the advice and consent of the rest of the penny on each members of the General Assembly, now met at Charlestown, for the skin or fur, southwest part of this province, and it is enacted by the authority of the Sume, that from and after the last day of June 1696, that for all and every skin or skins, fur and furs, that shall be shipped or put on board any ship or ships, vessel or vessels whatsoever, by any person or persons whatsoever, there shall be paid for every such skin or skins, fur or fars, by the person that ships them, 1 penny current money. 11. And be it further enacted by the authority aforesaid, that if any skins or furs whatsoever shall be put or caused to be put on board any ships are. Deity of 1. Thus followed. A Negro newspaper was established and crowned a series of offensive articles by an attack upon the virtue of white women in general. Another election was pending and threats of a demand for a still larger share of offices were made. That election was one of the quietest ever held in the state, and the Negroes polled about 90% of their strength, but a large proportion of their former white allies deserted them because of their conduct, and the party was beaten. Then, and not until then, the white people asserted their supremacy in an unmistakable way, and they intend to preserve it at all hazards forever. It was not the work of ignorant enemies of the Negroes, but the long-delayed and spontaneous action of all the white people, united for the common purpose of preserving their civilization. Of course, there was much misrepresentation of the facts. Asterisk. The large Negro population on the coast of South Carolina is quite different from this here described. The mayor of Beaufort says the town is remarkable for quiet and good order. For 20 years past, not a single individual has been killed or seriously injured in any disturbance within the corporate limits. See Handbook of South Carolina, page 663. That is the statement of the mayor of Beaufort, and Beaufort is perhaps the blackest spot in the whole South. That is to say, the Negro population predominate more there than anywhere else. There is a peculiar historical fact connected with that town that I would like to mention to the commission. That is the place where the federal troops first set the Negroes free. It was done on those islands in the neighborhood of Beaufort, and they are now though the predominant race, and this mayor refers to them as a quiet community. A most peculiar thing is this Quatrefages in his book on the human race asserts the fact that the African lived on these islands long before the discovery of America by Christopher Columbus. He is high authority, and he says that the Yammasse Indians were Negroes, what were known afterwards as the fiercest of the Indian tribes of the South. The well-known Yammasse Indians were Africans. Q. By Mr. Phillips. Is it a fact that they were much darker than the other Indians? Yes, it is a fact. Q. And the hair was different, too. A. So it is stated by one of the most distinguished ethnologists in the world. Another corroborative proof is that the Spaniards found that one Negro was equal to 10 Indians for work, and they therefore imported these Indian Negroes and carried them to the West Indies to experiment with. The state guarantees $3 per pupil enrolled in case the school taxes do not pro-DNC that much, and allows each school district to levy a maximum tax of 4% on property for the maintenance of the schools. The school law requires that instruction be given in agriculture in the public schools. Little has been done in this direction. In our school district, a school has recently been opened in which botany and nature study are taught, and we are going to try and develop the school on the agricultural line. Clemson College is an excellent technical school with professors and full equipment of laboratories. Seminoles of Florida. For the preservation of the relics and ancient records. The North American Indian is fast vanishing from the continent. Are not the Seminoles of Florida, the descendants of the old monarchs, this race around which shadowy romance hovers, as worthy of preservation as the inanimate treasures of ancient Egypt? Are there no Ramesses in American history? In the old turban tribe of Florida, we have a remnant of the most picturesque, deserving and moral of all the aborigines of America, and they belong to a type that is everywhere else extinct. Are they not worth preserving and protecting to a point worthy the proud and historic name of Seminole? Secure in the mysterious marshes, these Indians present an eloquent picture of a helpless wandering tribe. At the close of the war, a few bands of the Indians refused to submit to banishment and, concealing themselves in the fastnesses of the Everglades, made their removal an impossibility. This part of the tribe, according to their traditions, belonged originally to the Aztec race, and for this reason they claim a preeminence over all the tribes of Aborigines of America. Though defeated in war, they never submitted to the government of the United States, and hence regard themselves as more valiant in defense, morda. To be courted. Perhaps the Coetas had established a martial reputation for themselves, fighting Westo or Cherokee intruders and earning distinction in battles that are lost to historians. Most probable, however, is that Coeta rose to power by making strategic alliances with others, creating a far-flung political network that no other town in the region could match. When considering Coeta's strategic alliances, it should first be mentioned that Coeta's peripatetic maneuvers prior to the 1670s likely served as an advantage in making contact with other native peoples in the region. In sharing their origins on the Coosa River, it is plausible to suggest that the Coetas and Kushites retained at least a few contacts by way of marriage, diplomacy, or kinship with those who had chosen not to migrate. Furthermore, having perhaps recently been settled on the lower Tallapoosa River, the Coetas undoubtedly retained close connections to the communities established there. Evidence of this connection can be found in the Coetas hunting, trading, and sharing intelligence with the Talases, Atases, Tukbatchis, and other Tallapoosa groups. Coeta's regional influence, then, might have been built upon a strictly native network, as the wandering group with historic links to those in the West began spinning webs of influence that predated permanent European influence. 47. By the 1670s, though, both the Spanish and the English began to establish regular and sustained contact with the inhabitants of the Chattahoochee River, ushering in a new era of politics. The Spanish, who had maintained a presence in Appalachia since the 1630s, first gained direct influence in the Chattahoochee interior in the early 1670s, inviting the region's inhabitants to migrate south toward Appalachia to establish new mission towns. At first, a good number of people appear to have accepted the Spanish offer. As a result, the Apalachicolas, as the Spanish referred to them, established two mission towns, Sabacola and Sabacola el Grande, on the southern frontier of the Apalachicola province before the year 1675 drew to a close. Spain's influence among the Apalachicolas, then, appeared to be on the rise on the eve of English contact. 48. As it concerned Cowlitz, the founding of South Carolina in 1670. Woods that were quickly filling with Anglo-American traders, farmers, and their livestock proved to be a volatile and deadly mix. This generational rift was not the only revolutionary implication for Creek mobility. As both British and Spanish officials occasionally testified, the lure of trade and the availability of vacant lands were beginning to draw a few enterprising Creek leaders away from their towns of origin. By mid-century, a few of them appear to have left permanently, thereby initiating a gradual process of fission, referred to here as seminolization. 5. It has long been known that the Seminoles of Florida were not indigenous to the region, but rather were migrants who had originally constituted a part of the Creek nation. Nevertheless, it has not been possible until recently to date precisely the beginnings of this migration. 16. Seminolization, or, as the Creeks themselves might have termed it, the outward migration of Creek communities that pay obedience to no one, in one sense began shortly after the Yammasse War of 1715, when Chislacolichi, a pro-Spanish chief, reoccupied the Sabacola Old Fields at the confluence of the Flint and Chattahoochee rivers. Chislacolichi's town, and another like it established near Fort San Marcos by his nephew in the 1750s, were fiercely Hispanophile and at least superficially Catholic, and their leaders were conspicuously absent from most Lower Creek gatherings. 17. Chislacolichi was not alone, however, among Creek chiefs who established independent communities in the 2 decades following the Yammasse War. In the 1720s, for instance, the town of Eufaula, originally located in the Upper Creeks, split into two. One faction, which earmarked for the Indian Fund, was now insufficient due to the influx of persons from the provinces of Caveta. 23. His successor, Melchor de Navarrete, boasted in May 1751 that in the previous year he had received visits from exactly 714 Indians from Caveta, Ocone, Apalachicola, Eufaula, Casista, and Medell, and had made a like plea to the viceroy for more money. 24. This unprecedented influx of Creek people